college football playoff, because you got all that. Expect that would be a common topic of conversation next week in Atlanta, and I think that's where it'll be interesting as well, because I don't expect Greg Sankey to get up there and do what Brett Yormark did and essentially say, "Hey, I'm doubling down. I understand." I mean, he called out the ACC commissioner Jim Phillips by name and said, "I know that he would agree with me, and I'm sure some of the other conference commissioners would too." I don't think you're going to get that from Greg Sankey, but it will be interesting to see, kind of what he has to say about the college football playoff discussions, because it and I know it's I get more impactful in the sense that it affects the entirety of the sport. We know how big the playoff is, but it kind of reminds me like last year, Damien, if you remember when we were going through it with the SEC and trying to figure out what the new tiebreaker rule was going to be now that we had 16 teams in here, and they just kept dragging it on. And even at media days, they were like, "Oh, we'll figure it out." It's like, man, the season starts real soon. Like you better figure it out.
Right.
And we did, but then that's also why you ended up with, a coin flip scenario for like your sixth tiebreaker or whatever it was. But it just kind of reminds me of that, where you're like, have you not had a while to probably brainstorm on this one and kind of just come to an agreement? It's just kind of taking a while.
Yeah. But I think with Yormark, he's pretty much, he drafted the 5-11 model and he's not going away from it. Like, I mean, you go back to day one, he's put his cleats in the ground and said, "Nope, this is how it should be." And not only should it be like this, I bet the Big 12 will have multiple teams to represent in this new look college football playoff.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and we'll see if he's proven right. But again, I mean, I stood by what he said a couple days ago, and hey, this may not be best for us right now, but we're hoping it is for the future and for the entire sport, and I can certainly respect that. So we will see. It'll be interesting to kind of compare and contrast how all these commissioners talk about, the playoff in particular, because we know that's such a big issue. There's other things going on as well, of course, but it'll just be kind of interesting to see how we go about this now up until December, when you need to have something done by then, because otherwise we're going to be kicking the can down the road for another year. And that's the last thing we want at this point, is just, let's just drag it on for another year. So get it done, people. Figure it out. And we'll see if we learn anything new next week in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. So that's kind of everything going on there at Big 12 Media Days. But speaking of Atlanta, that is going to be the site of the MLB All-Star Game next week, as well as the Home Run Derby, Celebrity Softball Game, all that fun stuff that goes on around All-Star Week in Major League Baseball. And at least for one night, the Braves gave you something to cheer for, as they pulled off a 9-2 victory over the formerly known as the Oakland Athletics. Since
we'll go with that.
I guess we're technically not supposed to call them the Oakland Athletics anymore, because
just the Athletics.
They're just the Athletics in Sacramento. But they take down the Athletics 9-2. So a little bit of a payback for what happened 2 nights ago, just in the sense that you did have so the Braves, they scored 4 runs in the first inning. You had Ronald Acuna, he hits a home run to lead off the game for the Braves. Then you had Drake Baldwin, he added a 3-run home run in the bottom of the first inning. Then Austin Riley hit a 2-run home run in the second inning. So it was 6-0 Braves very, very quickly. Ronald Acuna actually had another home run in the 4th inning. That would make it 7-0. Azuna added a home run. Jerkson Profar had an RBI double late in the game. The bullpen did come in, and they were lights out for Atlanta. So Bryce Elder, he goes 6 2/3, 8 hits, 2 earned runs for Atlanta last night. And then the bullpen comes in 2 1/3 innings of shutout baseball. So that will certainly play if you are Atlanta. And again, at this point, I don't think any Braves fans are talking about, we're making a push to the playoffs, or let's just get back to 500 and see where we are. I mean, obviously that's where you want to go, but it feels like maybe the season's just kind of gotten out of hand a little bit too much at this point. But hey, if you can string together a couple wins ahead of the All-Star break, then the Yankees are going to come to town, and that would be an opportunity to certainly build some momentum there, if there is any sliver of hope for Atlanta to somehow find themselves in at least the discussion for a wild card spot at the end of the year. But have a long ways to go for that to happen. And but they can continue their trek to the postseason tonight. Not quite as late tonight, 8:05 first pitch for the Atlanta Braves tonight, as they're still on the West Coast, but an hour earlier than last night. And of course, you can hear that here on Jox tonight at 8 o'clock. So that's what's going on in Major League Baseball. But the fun thing about this time of year, Damian, is you have a lot of people that start coming out. You're really predictions. Um, that stuff's hard. You don't know what you're just trying to do your best job. But now people maybe have a better things. We've got a couple of those today. How about they decided to preview media days? That's
Yeah.
some people. So we'll get to that. But I do back yesterday who had some things to say on the hot topic of the last couple of weeks, which has been recruiting. We will hear from that Alabama quarterback who had some very strong words, some very strong feelings about what's going on with Auburn and Hugh Freeze and John Cohen's approach to recruiting. So we'll get you up to date on everything going on in recruiting and the drama side of things with Alabama and Auburn next on Morning Jox. 6:14. Welcome back into Morning Jox here on your Thursday morning. Appreciate you making us a part of your day each and every day here on Jox. Connor and Damien here with you. And as I mentioned right before we went to break, there was quarterbacks just like talking in the offseason, whether it's current or former. And we had a former one yesterday that certainly had some things to say, nonetheless. And that was one A.J. McCarron. So, of course, the former quarterback of the Alabama Crimson Tide won 2 national championships during his time there as a starting quarterback in Tuscaloosa. And so he does a podcast now called the Dynasty Bama Podcast. And it's him, Trent Richardson, and Chris Stewart. And I've seen a couple of clips of the podcast. I know that, I guess it went kind of viral, I guess a couple of weeks ago, maybe when A.J. McCarron had some thoughts on the Thomas Castellanos situation at Florida State and had some pointed words about him. And I saw that getting shared around a lot. And then yesterday, there was another clip that was going around and gaining a lot of traction from the podcast. And it was A.J. McCarron talking about Auburn's recruiting. And just in case you missed the show a couple of days ago, or you're just kind of not up to date, you've been out of town, whatever, running around with your kids, things like that. If you're not totally up to date on the situation, essentially what happened is right before the 4th of July, Hugh Freeze and John Cohen, the athletic director at Auburn, they held a press conference. They met with the media briefly, and they kind of talked about their approach to recruiting, Damien, and it was a little different than what we've heard from other programs, but essentially the gist of it was they were insinuating that they were waiting until August 1st when the House settlement stuff goes through and becomes official, and they kind of have a better idea of their financial situation before they're going to go after a lot of these recruits. And basically they are insinuating that a lot of programs are offering kids money that they don't know if they have or not, and that they are recruiting the wrong way, whereas Auburn is recruiting the right way, and their, I guess, legal experts are telling them to pump the brakes on this recruiting thing until August 1st, and everyone else is just kind of running wild with it. So that got obviously a lot of reaction. A lot of people saying, "Oh, well, that's just Auburn scrambling to save face. They don't why would every other program be cheating and Auburn's the one that's doing it right?" But we did have some interesting quotes come out of Big 12 Media Days the other day, and other coaches in that conference insinuating a lot of the same things that Hugh Freeze and John Cohen were, that, hey, we think there's a lot of schools out there that are offering deals to these kids that they don't know if they're going to be able to hold up or not, and we'll see if it all comes crashing and burning down on a lot of these programs. So with all that context given to you, A.J. McCarron on the Dynasty podcast yesterday, he was speaking on Hugh Freeze, Alabama's recruiting, Auburn's recruiting, and he didn't hold back. This is what he had to say. Whew. That's a lot. So
Yeah.
there's, again, you have the first part where he he tells you he thinks Hugh Freeze is full of crap when it comes to this recruiting thing, and that this is all just a save face and it's all bogus. And then he, I guess, kind of really gets personal with it, essentially saying basically calls you an idiot if you sign with anyone other than Alabama if you're from the state of Alabama. And
he went full Bammer.
He
went full.
He did, and again, okay, look, I mean, come on, you're doing a podcast with Trent Richardson and Chris Stewart, like,
right?
You kind of know what you're getting with this.
You know where it's leaning.
I will say, okay, just my personal opinion on all of that. I think starting with, I guess the last thing you heard with, it's dumb if you don't pick Alabama or you pick Auburn over Alabama, whatever. I'm just going to say this. I think that everybody out there, you need to go where you feel comfortable. And look, absolutely, when it comes to Alabama, yes, they have a much better recent track record of putting people in the NFL than Auburn does. That's not a shot at Auburn. It's the reality of Alabama has a better track record of anybody than doing that outside of maybe Georgia or Ohio State, right? But at the same time, when you're an 18-year-old kid, first off, how many of them are actually going to go to the NFL? And I'll be the first to say it. Like, as an academic institution, Auburn is certainly better than Alabama in a lot of ways. Now, there are some ways that Alabama's better, but overall, I think we would all agree that if you are going to one of the two schools for academics, you're not going to Alabama. But that's okay. That is what it is. But I would disagree with that a little bit. Now, yes, if you are a football machine and all you care about is football, you eat, breathe, sleep football, you're going to go be the next Aaron Donald or whoever in the NFL, okay, yeah, maybe go to Alabama. But at the same time, if you don't feel like your relationships and connections with the people on that coaching staff are great, don't go somewhere just because, well, you all have a great track record, but I don't feel comfortable here. So I get it. He's the Alabama guy. He's going to say that. But I look, I'm going to put my hand up like I'm not that.
Right.
My glasses aren't that tinted red.
No, and that's what I'm thinking too. It's a little to the extreme side of things.
It is.
Now, could there be some truth behind what he's saying on the front end? It could be, but I think that for Auburn, as far as this recruiting thing goes, and we had Tyler Siskey on yesterday on Mac and Cube, and he brought up a great point. He's like, Hugh Freeze has recruited everywhere he's gone. Like this isn't that big of a deal. The optics are bad in this situation because you look right across the other side of the state, and like you said, the machine is just continuing to roll with 5 stars coming to Alabama. It's just, well, if you're quote unquote doing it the right way, when August 1st hits, then we should see the ramifications. Like we should see what the issue is, or what all the details are going to be as far as, oh well, hey, we may not have the biggest of classes this year, but the quality of player that we're getting is what fits what Auburn needs at this moment or in the future. And again, he still had to come into a situation with Brian Harsin, gut the roster, still built it up in a fairly quick manner, and then last year to have a top 10, top 5 class, you're kind of looking at it as, okay, well, he's done that. Yet the product on the field is still my only issue. My only issue is if we're in this summer months and we're just everybody's kind of just itching for something to get you some sort of momentum or something to carry over into fall, because the end all be all is what happens during the regular season. Mm-hmm. It just stinks that with the way recruiting schedule is now, it's hard to find a silver lining or something to be positive about when Alabama is continuing to have all these guys and you see these commits. And again, all of it doesn't really matter until National Signing Day in December. That's all. The names are great. The verbal commits are great.
Yeah.
But I can see where it's uncomfortable as an Auburn fan, because it's, well, it would be a lot better if we were sitting at the 25th spot or the 24th spot. But when you're down deep into the bottom and you're the last team in the SEC, you're at the bottom. You're behind everybody. No matter how bad you say Mississippi State is, no matter how bad you say Vanderbilt is, you're behind them as well when it comes to recruiting. So it does kind of give you a uncomfortable feeling, but all of that can be changed based on what you do in the fall. It's just everybody's trying to get there. It's just we have to deal with this situation as it progresses until we finally get, you know, a hand in the dirt, in the dirt.
In the dirt. Yeah, I agree with what a lot of you said. I mean, I do think, again, going back to what he said about Hugh Freeze and the recruiting and stuff, and I guess I just feel like a lot of this stuff is wait and see, right? Because it's easy to have that stance right now, and obviously, if you're, very pro Alabama over Auburn, you're going to have that stance, right? Because that's the low hanging fruit right now. But I will say that everything going on with the Big 12 and hearing from a number of their coaches this week, like that seriously did that's one of those things that makes you think a little bit of like, okay, so maybe this is just something that nobody wanted to talk about, and now that because it again, it makes sense, right? The logic of, so you're telling me that Auburn's the one school doing it right and everybody else is doing it wrong. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like either Auburn would probably just do the wrong things as well if everyone else was doing them, or you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you are full of crap. Like you're just trying to make up an excuse for why you're not recruiting at a high level. And who knows, maybe that is what's ultimately going on. But I think that I think at this point, we kind of just have to wait and see. And if you want to go ahead and cast your judgment, then that's your decision. But it's easy to be skeptical. I think it's fair to be skeptical of how they're operating right now. But until we have the actual proof, right now, if at the end of the day, let's say Auburn goes 8-4 this year, they have a pretty good season, and yet they somehow still are ended up with the 52nd ranked recruiting class or something. Well, then I think we'll be able to look back and go, okay, yeah, maybe a lot of these things you were full of crap. But I don't think that that's ultimately going to be the reality, and we'll see what happens with all this house settlement stuff. Because maybe there are a lot of schools that are making fake offers or offering kids more money than we think that they are. I go back to the Texas Tech situation earlier this week with the 5-star offensive lineman they signed, and you see, man, they're signing this kid for $5 million, and everyone starts freaking out and going, well, that's how much of their annual salary cap or annual house settlement budget is that going to take up? And then you find out the fine details of it, and it's potentially worth $5 million, but they're actually paying him $770,000 a year, something like that, which is still a lot of money. But you start to see where, okay, maybe that's a little more sustainable than, oh, you're paying this kid, $2 million a year for 2 to 3 years of college, whatever the deal ended up being. But I just feel like there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we just kind of have to wait and see how that plays out. And to be fair, there are probably a lot of people out there that you don't really know what's right or wrong, and until somebody holds you accountable for it, you're just going to keep operating the way that you have. So it's very interesting. And if you want to weigh in on what AJ McCarron had to say, not only about I guess the Alabama superiority here over Auburn in the state, but essentially calling out Hugh Freeze, saying he's full of crap and he doesn't buy the excuses for Auburn recruiting. So we'd love to hear from you. 205-834-9450. That'll get you on the courtesy GMC text line, 1-800-239-9569, if you want to get on the phone lines. And we will go there next. We'll get your phone calls. We will read your text and get your reaction to AJ McCarron as he goes a little scorched earth on Auburn. That's next on Jox. 6:32 here on your Thursday morning. Appreciate you tuning into us on Morning Jox. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here. And just spent some time, well, we let you hear from A.J. McCarron, what he had to say on the Dynasty podcast about Auburn recruiting, Hugh Freeze, and essentially saying that if you come from the state of Alabama and you pick anyone other than Alabama to go and play football for, that you're dumb. And imagine that's probably not going to sit well with a certain portion of the state and who they root for. But again, I remind everyone, this is a former Alabama quarterback on a podcast with a former Alabama running back and the voice of the Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart, who you can hear on Three Man Front during football and basketball season. But obviously, right, like you're going to go pretty deep into the Bama weeds on a podcast like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, again, you're leaning into a little bit of a fan base, so maybe you're going to go take things to another level,
right?
Bit, just kind of really try to hammer home the that point there. So you have reacted on both the text line and the phone line. So let's go there right now. We'll start off on the phone lines where Melvin wants to chime in on what A.J. McCarron had to say about Auburn and Alabama. How are we doing, Melvin?
I'm doing all right today, guys. Me being an Auburn fan, we definitely been the subject of the summer this year.
Yeah.
But I'm not particularly like, I've had some friends ask me, well, hey man, are you concerned about, the 26 class and so forth? And I'm not particularly concerned about it because I think, just like Damon stated earlier, if we go out and take care of our business on the field, all of it will take care of itself. That's just how I feel. I mean, I'm ready for the results. That's what I'm ready for. I mean,
I think that's where most of the fans are.
That's what I'm ready for. I mean, I just think all of that will just take care of itself. AJ say he don't take shots at us, but that's not the first time he's taking shots at us. But Lane Kiffin, he's taking shots. I love it. Take your shot. I want to keep receipts. I want to keep receipts. I want to go back and say, okay, that's what AJ said. That's what Lane Kiffin said. I want to keep receipts. I'm ready to do it between the lines, baby.
Hey, what did Dion say recently? If you're going to get us, you better get us now.
You better get us now.
Hey, I'm ready for results, fellas. I'm ready for the results. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on the season. Got season tickets. I'm going to be out cheering on my boys, and let's see what happens. But, hey, guys, I enjoy the show. Listen to y'all every morning, man. Y'all take care.
Appreciate you, Melvin. Appreciate you chiming in there. Okay, see.
What? Is that not what you're supposed to say when they say it to you?
I just feel like you're supposed to be Switzerland right now, right? You've got 10 programs that are vying for your allegiance, and you're throwing out Roll Tides here and War Eagles there.
My fault.
It's Gig'ems here. And
no, you've never heard me. No,
I thought you said that yesterday in the hallway.
No, slander is not tolerated.
Oh, okay.
That's just a flat out lie. That's all it is. That's just a flat out lie. I would never say anything like that.
I guess I heard somebody else saying that.
Yeah.
Yesterday here around the station, but no, it's. I appreciate Melvin chiming in there. And I think, like a lot of Auburn fans, again, right, it's, as nice as it would be to have another top 10 recruiting class, and, who knows, maybe that's, something that could still potentially happen. It'd be incredibly difficult, I think. But, I think the last thing the Auburn fans want is, oh, yeah, we're 8th in recruiting and we went 7-5 this year. I think Auburn fans, and maybe that would be a good kind of discussion to get into one day, but let's say, if you were told, hey, Auburn's going to have the 35th ranked recruiting class in December when it's all said and done, but they're going to win at least 9 games this year. I think a lot of the Auburn fans would say, oh yeah, give me the 9. Yeah. Give me a competitive season where I can have some faith and I can, believe that, hey, we're headed in the right direction for the future right now. So now, would you like to have both of those things? Absolutely. Would love to have the success on the field and have a top 10 recruiting class again. And who knows? We'll see, right? Maybe Auburn goes and they find themselves in the college football playoff and they arrive ahead of schedule. And that would certainly, I would think, help you out a little bit on the recruiting trail. But I think a lot of fans, echoing the sentiment of Melvin is right. We just want to see the results. We're ready for the season to start, go win some games. And, you're probably not even that worried about, either you're winning and you feel better about the program, or you're losing and you're more focused on replacing your head coach than what's going on in recruiting at the end of the day anyways. So we will have to wait and see, but a very big season coming up on the Plains for Auburn. Now we go to the road where our buddy Larry wants to chime in on what Mr. McCarron had to say earlier. How we doing, Larry?
Hey, good morning, guys. Just want to throw something out there. I've always been a McCarron fan, but for him to open his pie hole like that, it just amazes me, because I got nothing but respect for McCarron and what he did at Alabama, but that's just ridiculous, guys. I mean, if St. Nick had a paddle, he would probably bust his what with it right now, because you win with class and you lose with class. You don't go run your mouth. My third daughter just got her master's, and she went to Auburn for a little while. She graduated from UAB and got her master's from Auburn in Montgomery. But my point is, I used to work down in Auburn, and I'm, of course, Conrad, and you as well as I are huge Bammers. But Auburn is a gorgeous campus, much bigger than Tuscaloosa, much more real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody like AJ McCarron to say that about Auburn and what they went through with 2 years of their coach that just disappeared, you don't open up a can of worms. That's just BS. It's beef stew, man. I get so tired of hearing players, and Saban is notorious for, coaches are notorious for you don't really upset or piss off other fans. You respect them and go with it. But for McCarron to say that, I was shocked. But you just don't do that, man. That's just disrespectful. I knew he went to school in Mobile, but la-di-da, who cares? Auburn's whatever, man. You just don't do stuff like that, and that's just my perspective and my view or whatever. But I don't know. It just shocked me to hear him say something like that. But that's just my 2 cents. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, appreciate you chiming in this morning, Larry. No, and I think that's where, again, right, I think the first part of the clip, where he's taking shots at Hugh Freeze and recruiting, you probably don't like that if you're an Auburn fan, but you can probably sit there and go, okay, shocker, Alabama fans taking a shot at our recruiting right now. Okay, not a big deal. I think the part that maybe more people would take away from it and kind of have a sour taste in their mouth, and even like Larry and I said some things about it earlier too, that I don't know. Just the idea of calling someone an idiot for making a decision to go to a different school in Alabama. Look, yes, if all you care about is football, as we said, there's no doubt that Alabama has done a better job of setting people up for success in the NFL, and after their playing days are over, and giving more players an opportunity to reach that level. There's no doubt about it. And if you can do that, then more power to you. But again, I just think and I know it's all about money now, but I go back to when I was trying to decide on where I was going to go to college, and I wasn't, a big time athlete. I wasn't going to school to be an athlete, right? I had an academic scholarship to go to college. But even that, like going places, and there were some schools that I was really excited for, and then I went and visited them, and I didn't feel like that's somewhere I wanted to live for 4 years. And it doesn't mean it's not a good school. It's just, it's not where I felt comfortable or where I felt like I was going to fit in very well. And again, if you're a 17-year-old kid and I get it, like Alabama's great, but if you want to go to Auburn or Troy or Jacksonville State or Georgia or Mississippi, like wherever, like go where you think you're going to be the most successful, where you're going to feel the most comfortable, and where you feel like the people around you are going to want the best for you and set you up for success. So that's really all my thoughts are on that. But we have more reaction coming in from y'all. We still have to get to your text as well with everything that AJ McCarron said. We'll play the clip for you as well in case you missed it. But yeah, basically AJ McCarron calling out Hugh Freeze, saying he's full of crap and you are dumb if you go anywhere other than the University of Alabama to play football. So we'll get more of your reaction to AJ McCarron next here on Morning Jox. 6:46 here on your Thursday morning. Very fitting way for us to return as, AJ McCarron definitely seems to hate Auburn, even though he did go out of his way in that clip to say that he has cheered for Auburn before because he has friends that went there, but then he also proceeded to just kind of dump a lot on their plate.
Also, isn't his wife a graduate of one Auburn University?
Is she?
I think so.
I didn't know that.
I think so.
That's that would certainly be interesting. I will say this, and I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but I do feel like it's good to have this kind of thing, I think, in the Alabama and Auburn rivalry right now, because I do feel like this Iron Bowl coming up will be the most volatile one that we've had in 5-ish years, probably. And I mean, I know a lot of that will kind of determine on how the season plays out until that point. But, you could potentially have an Auburn fan base that's either, really, really excited and really motivated for that Alabama game to kind of be the cherry on top of what's been a season they've waited a long time for. Or you could be staring down the barrel of having to get rid of your head coach. And then for Alabama, right, that could be a game that ultimately you have to win to get back into the college football playoff. And it could be a game that if you lose, you see the Alabama pitchforks come out and the Kalen DeBoer hot seat conversation starts happening this year, depending on how the season goes up to that point. So there's just a lot of fascinating things. I just, again, we've talked about it because it hasn't been as competitive. I know there's been some good games, obviously, in recent memory, but it feels like we're going to get a little bit of that juice back in the rivalry this year. At least I hope so. And you were right. She did. Catherine Webb did go to Auburn. So I guess.
Right. So, she wasn't there to play ball. She wasn't there to play ball. So she wouldn't understand.
No, she certainly was not. But some of you still want to weigh in with your thoughts on what AJ McCarron had to say. We've got a few of you on the phone line, so that's where we'll go right now, where Poe wants to chime in about what AJ McCarron had to say. How we doing, Poe?
Man, what's happening? Y'all doing all right? Look, man, AJ McCarron, man, chill out, dude. Calm down. Know your role and just stay in your lane with this thing and just handle your business. Let folks do what they do, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the guy that was ahead of me earlier, you know what I'm saying? The caller ahead of me, he was right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm probably not. I ain't gonna say I don't know him like that, but I ain't surprised he said it. People come out and they start just talking, and when they have a platform, they let you know their real feelings about stuff. But you know what I'm saying? You can't say, like you say, these kids is 18, 19, 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? So when you say it's dumb, the decision that the kid making is along with their parents. So you saying that their parents is dumb also, AJ McCarron. So you know what I'm saying? So so I think he just need he just need to just chill out, man. And whatever Auburn is deciding to do, that's on them. Me, I ain't a Hugh Freeze fan like that. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a big Hugh Freeze fan. I don't think he's the coach that everybody say he is, since he's at Auburn and everything. That's just me being Poe. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big Hugh Freeze fan. I've never been a Hugh Freeze fan. But for AJ McCarron go, man, chill out, handle your business, man. And the next time you want to say how much you hate or dislike this, man, chill out, use your platform for something a little bit more. I'm lost for word on this, but some a little bit more smarter than what you are saying about Auburn and about the kids being dumb if they go to Auburn. So you're trying to stack a lot of 5-star quarterbacks at Bama or receivers or defensive players when nobody will get a chance to play. So just know what you're going to say before you say AJ McCarron. You know what I'm saying? This your boy Poe, man. I'm out. That's all I got to say.
Appreciate you, Poe. Thanks for your thoughts there on that. And Poe says he's not a big Hugh Freeze fan, but not a big AJ McCarron fan today either. And we'll spend more time on this. I apologize. I know I mentioned it earlier, but this has just taken over the show, the AJ McCarron thing. But we will get into what the Sporting News said about who the best coaches are in the SEC ahead of media days. I'll just tell you, they're not a big fan of Hugh Freeze either. If you want a little tease for tomorrow, he's not towards the top of the list. I'll just leave that. I'll leave that there while we go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Chris real quick. I know he wants to weigh in on this Alabama Auburn thing. What's going on, Chris?
How you doing, guys? I'm gonna just stay not full on Bama and just be real and keep it a band with everybody. The results speak for themselves, guys. Let's just keep it a band. I mean, it's some validity in what he said. I mean, Auburn fans need to take a look in the mirror. This is because, I mean, sure, it's a bit out of pocket to say that you're just straight up dumb if you don't go. But at one point, you guys even on 3 Man Front put up a poll in which saying what would Auburn fans look forward to being better in recruiting and or out of those I guess selections being better recruiting.
Making a playoff run or beating Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, you chose beating Alabama. That alone for the culture just says enough. Come on.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
No, I got you, Chris. Hey, appreciate you calling in. We got to get to some more calls here quickly. I will say I understand the point which Chris was making. To be fair, I think we can also assume that a lot of the people that probably voted in that poll were Alabama fans. So I will also throw that out there. But yes, that was our poll question on 3 Man Front the other day. Let's go to Will in Trustful real quick. He wants to weigh in on the topic. What's going on, Will?
Hey guys, so AJ McCarron, man, he is so wrong for this. I mean, like I've seen it. Like, let's think about Hugh Freeze. Like I have seen his handicap improve so much since he's gotten to Auburn. And I mean, like, look at Bo Nix. I mean, this guy came in, he tore it up for like 2-3 years, elite development. He left, but elite. And then, like, there's Perry Thompson, right? This guy, all the talent in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
He chose Auburn, I believe. He's got to be the best number 5 receiver in the conference. Elite blocker. I mean, just elite. Fear the thumb.
I was really confused by that call. Also, Bo Nix was not there under Hugh Freeze. That was a confusion that I. Okay. Anyways, let's go to Hastings. How we doing, buddy?
Yeah, Poe's comment about stacking 5 stars is ridiculous. But, yeah, it's been a dumb decision since Pat Dye didn't give the ball to Bo Jackson on the goal line. I mean, like, which cost you a championship, Auburn fans. And, look, academically, Auburn is ranked ahead of Alabama. Hey, I'll give them their props where it's due. But when's the last time Auburn had back-to-back 10-win seasons? When's the last time that – I'm pretty sure they've had several coaches. The past 2 haven't even gotten to a 10-win season yet. R1 hasn't, but, I mean, heck, even Mike Shula can do that. He can at least appear in a Cotton Bowl. So when it comes to the trajectory of your program, the amount of players you put in the league and what you do as a player and you want to be developed, yeah, go to the University of Alabama. If not, you want to go to Auburn, hey, that's great. You can have a good career, still get to the NFL, but a lot of the times you're probably going to continuously play underdog until you can turn your program around. That's not a shot, but I actually hate to say I agree with Chris. Chris literally said, take a look in the mirror. I don't think everybody getting mad. AJ needs to keep – he knows AJ knows his place. He's got millions of bucks. He was an NFL player. It wasn't for Vontaze Burfict, would have won the first playoff game for the Bengals in 20 years. And so, yeah, he's on a deep soul podcast for Alabama, and these guys are freaking out when he's with Trent Richardson and Chris Stewart. Like, you need to know your –
Well, exactly. It's like, what did you expect him to say? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, anyways, but everybody getting up in riles on it, yeah, hey, hate to say it, but, yeah, take a look in the mirror and just know, yeah, it is a dumb decision for your development. If you want to win, go to the Tide, baby. Hey, roll Tide, guys. Go Dogs. Gig 'em, whatever. We'll holler at y'all later.
Appreciate you, Hastings. Appreciate all of you chiming in on the conversation this morning. Man, that picked up a little steam there this morning. I have to imagine that conversation will continue throughout the day. So we're back tomorrow, McElroy and Cubic in the morning.